There are now 3.3 million people that are newly unemployed, which means that these people, a lot of them, no longer have health insurance. This is how the American system works. So first, let me show you just exactly how crazy this is right now. First, here the story from the Associated Press. Breaking U.S. unemployment claims soar to 3.3 million, quadrupling record from 1982 as layoffs from coronavirus engulf economy. Let me show you how crazy, because it can be hard to visualize how many people this actually is. Check out this chart. So I'm even go a little small here and stretch this one out just so you really get so 2008 is about, I'm guessing here. This is now. This is insane. Not even just the US, this is happening globally. Really, we have never seen anything like this. And when you live in a healthcare system where a lot of your healthcare is guaranteed to you through your employer, your healthcare is tied to your employer, what happens? That healthcare goes poof. Gone. How there can be anybody that still exists fighting against a single-payer Medicare-For-All system, I mean, just blows my mind. That anybody would still be against Medicare-For-All at this point, seeing what happens during a pandemic. There is absolutely no way. There was no way before to defend the current for-profit American healthcare system. But now, it's even more obvious. There is no way to defend the current system. So I've discussed this before, but it's important to mention it because I don't know who watches these videos. I'm Canadian. I live in a single-payer system. Healthcare is guaranteed to me. I never think about healthcare. During this crisis right now, the one thing that keeps me calm is that I know if I do get sick, I can get help and not have to worry about anything. I get the healthcare I need. There's no talking to insurance companies, no making sure I'm covered, nothing. I just get the help I need. And that's the way it always is. I never think about healthcare until I need it, and then I get it. All I have to do, say that it's not a pandemic. It's just a typical, we're in normal society now. I don't feel well. Okay, I want to see my doctor. I call my doctor. I make same-day appointments with my doctor. I know it's not the case for everybody, but I can make same-day appointments with my family doctor. See my doctor that day. Walk in, show my health card to the receptionist, wait for 5 minutes, get called in, see my doctor, leave, go home. That's it. If there's a prescription, I rarely ever get prescriptions, but when I have, they're incredibly cheap for the most part. Now, there are some people in Canada, pharmacare still isn't guaranteed to you. It's still not universal, but it is cheaper than Americans. As one example, insulin is 10 times the cost in the US than it is for Canadians. So anytime I ever need to get a prescription, a medication, it's been like $20 at most for like a month of pills. So it's never been an issue, at least for me. But under a Medicare-For-All system, your costs, your pharmacare costs would go down. But also, like, I had surgery once. Simple, easy process. Scheduled ahead of time. I walk in on the day it's scheduled. I have the surgery. I go home. That's it. Like, I'm laughing because I feel like it's so simple, but it's also, for me, it's so obvious. Because I never think about healthcare, having to explain this to anybody, to me, is crazy. Because how can everybody not already experience what I experience? Because the world that I know is that healthcare is always guaranteed to me. The world that Americans know is that, no, you always got to fight tooth and nail for healthcare. You always got to worry about, can you afford it? I never think about any of that. And in the middle of a crisis like this, when these many people are out of work and no longer have their health insurance, how great does healthcare tied to your employer sound now? I want to share a couple clips or a couple links here. Ben Dixon posted this video. This is Joe Biden. This is obviously a few months back, but listen here to what he had to say about healthcare.
Anyone who has their employer-based health insurance they like, they can keep it.
Oh, great. How great does that sound now? As Ben Dixon points out, 3.3 million people would like a word with you about this. This employer-based insurance is exactly what it is, employer-based insurance. Wouldn't it make a lot more sense to even, again, forget the pandemic? Wouldn't it make a lot more sense to be in a world where, hey, I don't like my job, or I don't like my boss. I want to quit this job and go somewhere else. Okay, in Canada, I can do that without worrying about healthcare. In America, you got to think about, well, if I leave this job, there goes my great health insurance. In America, like, we have more freedom. You have more freedom under a single payer system in Canada, or any single payer system, than you do under the current system in the US. So Americans, conservatives, all about freedom, 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 freedom. Where is the freedom in your healthcare system when you are stuck to your company, even though you hate your job because you like your healthcare? How is that freedom? How does that make any sense? But in Canada, I can start a business. I can hire people. Guess what? Not only do I have healthcare, my employees have healthcare. I can go back to school, still have healthcare. Because healthcare is a human right, and it's actually treated as a human right in a single payer system. One more here. A reminder of what Joe Biden said he would do. Biden suggests he would veto Medicare for All over its price tag. This is the Democratic Party. This is the guy that is likely going to be the nominee. Again, he could still lose to Bernie Sanders if Bernie dominates all the upcoming states. But if Biden's a nominee, this is the guy at the head of the ticket. Still saying Medicare for All. Oh, doesn't make any sense. Can't do Medicare for All. All these people now have no health care. So this was months ago, but I wonder now, is Biden going to evolve? Like, how could Joe Biden possibly defend the current healthcare system now during this pandemic? There is no defense of it. There never was. And more so now, seeing how the healthcare system operates in a pandemic like this, when people completely lose their health insurance, it definitely doesn't make any sense anymore, even if it once did to some people. But like, how can you possibly defend the system? And the reality is, most people, you see Democratic voters, even in states where Bernie Sanders lost to Joe Biden, voters in every single primary state so far have voted in majority in favor of Medicare for All, of a government-based healthcare system over the current for-profit system. Every single state, even the most conservative states, have voted in support of that in exit polls. Meanwhile, you have one candidate openly saying that he would veto it. I just don't get how anybody defends the system. And the only reason they still do, I mean, at least the only reason that Democratic leadership still does, is because of their ties to Big Pharma, their ties to the health insurance industry. That is the only reason they still defend the current system, is because they don't care about people's lives. All they care about is the money.